Hi, welcome back. In the last video, we created the video lecture or the video module and allowed the user to progress from a video lecture, from a video module to a quiz module. Now, it's an unknown module type because we did not yet implement the quiz, and this is what we're going to change this video. Now, let's just jump in. In here, next to the video module, we're going to create a quiz module. Quiz module.tsx. This is going to export default function quiz module. It actually has the exact same it expects the same stuff as the video module, so let's just copy these props. Let's name this quiz module props. This one's quiz module props. Also, we need to import the participation that we do here, and we can start. Now, our quiz module has or displays a quiz, and we want to check the quiz. We want to give the user feedback if he answered something wrong. So let's first define the states we need. We need a message state. Set message if the user did something wrong. Actually, this is just a string. And we need to import the use state. Then we have a user answers, const user answers if all the user's answers are gonna be stored in here, which is it's just an array. We're just gonna initialize it as an empty array. Oops. Where are we? So have the empty array here. We want a loading state again for our next button. We have also a state that says if all answers are correct, all answers correct. That is true. It's a const. And yeah, that's basically it. Let's initialize the component. We want to have return. This is gonna return a div class name equals wfull flex call and gap. It's gonna display the module title. Then we want a list. Basically, let's close the other div also right away. Let's format this a little bit. In here, oh no, better. Here is gonna be, or this div is gonna contain all the questions. So class name relative wfull aspect video with a border white overflow y auto. Maybe you're gonna have more than one question, so you can scroll through them. Then we're gonna actually iterate module.questions.map, which is correct. We're gonna take it. In here, we further have to iterate through the answers. So we're gonna have a key border. This is not completely correct. Now we first iterate through the questions, and then we're gonna iterate through the individual answer choices or through the choices of that question. Flex row gap 2 and a margin bottom of 6. Let's close this. Actually, we should not. We forgot a brace here. Let's edit really quick, and now we don't get any errors. Then we want to display a headline of the question. Actually, this can be a column as well, and we're going to increase the gap to 4 So here we have the headline of the question, class name, and it just has font bold. And question not question, that is correct. Below that, we're going to iterate through the answers. So question dot answers dot map, and then we have an answer and we have an answer index, which is also correct. In here we forgot a closing brace. We're gonna return a checkbox with the answer. Now we have div and it has a class and name of flex, item center, and cursor pointer, and a key of, and this is, we need to combine the key of the question and the key of the answer, otherwise it will not really work when we have more than one question. We're gonna have here, so the index and the answer index, that should be enough, I think. We're gonna close it. In here we have then the input, which is not of type radio, which is simply type checkbox, because we want multiple answers to be correct. We have we want to also give this an ID. And when it has an ID, it's gonna be default. You know what? Default checkbox. It should be, yes, it should have the same, but we're gonna give it also a name. So answer, and here then we need an on click. In here we're gonna have an event, and we're gonna set message to nothing. So if the user answered something wrong, we're gonna remove that again. We're going to copy all the user generated answers and then generate or edit the answer that the current user is, or that this input is editing. So let temp answer equals JSON.parse and JSON.stringify the user answers, and then we're gonna modify the specific answer in temp answer, which is, or should be, later on we're also writing a function to initialize all the answers with empty index, so we're not updating anything that does not exist. So it's the target.checked, and finally we're gonna set the user answers again. No, we don't have an I, but we have, wait, we should have an index and an answer index. That should be it. Why does checked not exist on event target? Okay, it should actually be current target, and we set the user answers. Finally, this checkbox should have a class name equals height of 4, width of 4, textile. Actually, we don't need a border, but we want a background of 100. Yes, border of gray 300. It is supposed to be rounded, full, and on focus has a ring with, and we also need to set the ring focus ring 2. Now that sounds good for now. Let's close the input, and then after the input we want a label for the input. So we have label, which is HTML for answer minus index minus answer index. It has a class name of, let's just accept this and edit it a little bit. So we have an ML of 4. I don't want the text to be small, but the text should be white. Actually, I want the text to be big, so text 2XL. In here, first we close the label, then for the label, yes, we want answer.answer. And if we did everything right, let's save this once, let's format the document. We should now see, after we added it to our course module, case quiz, return quiz module, and it accepts the same parameters. You're gonna save it. We should see a quiz, and we should see our question that we put into the database after we reload. Perfect. We actually see our question. We can take answers to this question. We get an error here. Cannot. Yes, this is something we're gonna handle soon, because we're gonna pre-populate the user answers. One more thing we want to do is to add a number to here. So no, this is the title. I want to add it to the question here. So index plus 1 dot, and we also should add some padding on here. P6. Let's save this and let's see how it looks. Perfect. That's way better. Now let's get to one more thing. We have the message. We should also display the message to the user if there is something wrong. So below this, let's just hide this for now. We want message, and if there is any message, we want to show it. BG red, text white, P. Let's define it ourselves. So div message, and close the div, and has a class name of text red 500. It has a padding of 2 in font of bold. And yes, now as to not to get an error when we edit user answers, we should pre-populate the user answers with the same structure as our questions. And that we're gonna do with the use effect hook and a small function. So let's write the function set empty user answers, and in here we're gonna create a temporary array. After we have this temporary array, we're gonna assign it module.questions.map questions any. That is correct, and within this we want to map the answers again. Return questions.answers.map, which is also correct, false. Let's just that is actually already it. It also returns or in short, this function initializes all the possible answers as false. So when we then edit anything, we don't get this error. Do we get it again? Yes, this one. Where it basically complains that these indexes do not exist in the answers. We want this to be done anytime the view is loaded. So yes, use effect. We also need to import it. In here, we simply call set empty user answers. We leave the params array empty, so it's initialized every time. Now, let's save it and check really quick if it works. In theory, we should not get an error anymore, and we don't get an error anymore. The next step is we want the user to check his answers. Below the message, we're going to add another button. Let's first put this into a div class name flex call gap 4. It is justify start, and item center we don't actually need right now, and close the div. In here we want basically to know if all answers are correct. If the state is correct, then we're gonna display the next button. If the state is not correct, then we're gonna display a button to check the answers. So basically we can already implement here our next button. So next button, it takes our loading state, it takes the next, and we're going to implement really quick handle next module function, handle next module, which is the same as individual module. Wait, where do we have it? Ah, yes, here, right in front of my eyes. Here, of course, I would also recommend you to keep here to the dry principle, to not repeat yourself, but as a sake of fastness, we're gonna do it like this. So let's also import mark progress, and the handle next is working. Let's assign it to on click, close it, and perfect. Now we can have the check button. Check. And here, if we save, we should see, yes, we should see the check. We have a very simple button here. Button, it's gonna be disabled if all answers are correct. All answers correct. Also, we have an on click, which basically calls a function to check. So function handle check answers. Oops, we don't need this for now. Let's format this really quick. So we have this function handle check. We're gonna pass it on, and the content of the button is basically, we're gonna have a flex layout. So let's add this class name equals flex gap to item center. In here we want to display check answers, and after that a little icon. As an icon, we're gonna use the HI document search icon from Hero Icons. It has a class name of height 4 and width 4. And let's close it. So now we should see the check answers button. Let's maybe highlight this. So text, oh no, let's give it a border teal, no, border white. It has a padding px of 4 and a py of 2. It's not rounded, but it should be, yes, check answers. But I don't want it to span the whole width. So let's do inline. Is this already enough? Nope. Let's put it into a button, div, into a div. And now, yes, we have check answers. Check answers. And if we do this, nothing happens because we did not implement check answers yet. In check answers, what we want to do is, we first want to have a function to check all the answers. For checking all the answers, we want to know if a specific answer is correct. So let's write a function to check if a specific answer is correct. Function check answer. this takes in index, answer index, number, and we assume the answer is correct, so we already assign correct to true and return correct. And if we should learn that this assumption is not correct, we are going to change correct to false. Now let's also get the length of the question. So module.question.answer.length, that is what we need. And then let's iterate through all the answers. Let n equals 0, n smaller length, n plus plus, that is correct. Let's close it. Let val. So now we want to get from our database or from our set answers whether they are correct or they are not correct. And if module.questions, or to better understand this value is the value that we want to compare our user's answer to. And from questions, we're going to have answer index, we're going to get the specific answer, and then whether it's correct, but we call this true. If it is true, we assign it to true. And if it is false, we assign it to false. Then, if the value is not equal to whatever the user answered, we're going to set it to false, and we break it and we return correct, because we already know, okay, this cannot be correct anymore. As soon as we know it's not correct, we're going to stop. Now we know how to check an individual answer, so let's write a function to check all the answers. Function check all answers. In here, we basically iterate through all of them. So for let e equals 0, and that is smaller than the number of questions, we're gonna if check answer, so that is also correct. If this is false, we're gonna return false. And if we manage to iterate through everything without returning false, we can iterate true. In our handle next module then. No, not here. In our handle check answers then. Yes, handle check answers. We are then gonna check whether all answers are correct. So if check all answers is correct, we're gonna set all answers on true. We don't need the message anymore, but we're gonna set all the user answers to an empty array. Set user answers to empty, and else we're gonna set a message. Some answers are incorrect. We also want to say we actually don't need to do this, because you will not never switch from the state of everything is correct to something is incorrect. So in here we just need to say not all, some answers are incorrect. Please keep in mind multiple answers can be correct at the same time. And this should basically be it, because if this sets the all answer states to true, we're gonna see the next button, and the next button allows us to proceed to the next module. Let's save everything. We go back to our quiz. Now, previously I put in the question, what does TS stand for? Let's check the answers. Oh, this is of course wrong. Let's say Tornado script. This is also wrong. Let's say TypeScript. This is correct. We can now progress to the next lecture, to the next module. Wait. And voila, we are at the next video. Now, that's it for this tutorial. And in the next tutorial, we are going to actually end the course for now and generate a certificate for the user.